Hey guys, welcome to the Cyberspace VR. Today we're going to be talking about the best headset going into 2021. We put a lot of preparation into this video, so we're really excited.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are pretty excited to get out of 2020. It's been a bit of a mess. So there's at least some good things on the horizon if you're interested in virtual reality. And we're really going to break it down spec by spec, cosmetics by cosmetics, like everything. We're going to just do a huge deep dive into going into 2021. What is the best headset on the market?
Yep.
But the interesting thing about this is that it could be different for each one of you. So we're going to highlight the strengths and weaknesses, and at the end we'll come out with the best headset, but maybe that's not the best headset for you. Maybe the one that that we talk about that coincides more with your price range, maybe that's the best headset for you. Regardless, if you watch this video, you will find the best headset in 2021, especially for yourself.
Yep. There's a lot of factors that are going to go into this, so we're going to go ahead and just list off all of our criteria for judging what the best headset going into 2021 is.
Yeah, so we just recently went to the Hogwarts School of Spreadsheet and Wizardry. We've taken a couple classes with spreadsheets and stuff, so we have this really cool Excel platform here. Everything that we feed into this table is going to go right into this graph. So by the end, just by the criteria and how well these headsets perform, we'll be able to see which one's the best just by a simple graph.
Yep,
so,
and we'll be able to track the progress as we go along.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about each of our criteria? Okay.
Sure. So to start off, we have a refresh rate. This is really important when you're choosing a VR headset. You want to have a headset that has a really high refresh rate. So the highest refresh rate wins there. The resolution, again, this is really important. This is just all part of the screen. The smaller the pixels, then the more that you have, the better. You can see more detail. Things will look less blocky. So that's the higher resolution, the better, obviously. Weight. This is a little bit of an interesting one. You want a really light headset, so the lighter the headset, the better. Tracking, this is about whether it's inside out or outside in. Controller, this is like quality of controller, if they're rechargeable battery, how long the battery lasts, things like that. Appearance, I think, is something a lot of people glance over. Some VR headsets can look absolutely silly on someone's head.
Yeah,
and a big barrier to people getting VR is that they're worried they're going to look dumb. So if you watch VR commercials, it's not looking they're not super focused on the person wearing the headset. It's about the world around them, what they're experiencing, because a headset can look kind of weird. Mobility, so this is kind of one that only applies to the Quest 2. It's more mobile than everything else, so we had to throw a category in there because I believe that that's really important.
Hugely important. Yeah, that's definitely the future of VR. They're making it more mobile, so we definitely want to talk about that.
Yep. The next one is games. So this is kind of weird because obviously most VR headsets share the same games, but there's certain platforms that actually have exclusives. So we'll talk about that when we get there. And last but not least is, of course, price. So those are our criteria, and
that's the criteria. And just so you know, these are the headsets that we're going to be talking about because these are really the ones that are relatively newer and are going to have a bigger impact. Like, for example, the PSVR, we're not really going to talk about because it's a little bit outdated. The Vive, pretty outdated now. So we're going to talk about the Valve Index, the Oculus Quest 2, which will be the newest one coming into 2021, the Oculus Rift S, HP Reverb, Samsung Odyssey, and the Vive Cosmos. Those are going to be the headsets that we're breaking down, and we're going to find one of these is going to be the best one to get in 2021, and that's what we're here to find. So should be good. And just so you know how we're going to give the criteria, tell me what you think here, Sean, but I think we just give 1 point to whoever wins that criteria factor.
Or if there's a tie, we can give a point to each.
Or do we do 0.5 if it's a tie? We're just trying to...
I think we just give a whole point to each, especially since it's each category, right? If they win in that category, then they get a point.
They deserve the 1 point.
Yep.
Okay, so it's simple. Just 1 point if they win the category. If they tie, they still get that 1 point.
Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the Valve Index right here, right here in this first column. So let's talk about resolution rate here.
For refresh rate, you mean?
Or, sorry, I just looked at both of them and combined them. Yes, refresh rate. Here we go. The Valve Index has a screen refresh rate of 80 to 144 hertz. And I think 80 is really low. I don't know exactly where this site got that 80 from, but it's definitely the highest refresh rate on the market.
It's just it depends on your computer, right? If you have a really good computer, you're going to be maxing out at 144 hertz. And that's amazing. That's exactly what you want. That's the best headset on the market for refresh rate. So
yeah, definitely. And we can kind of just do a quick comparison to the other ones. For example, the Oculus Quest 2 is starting out with only a 72 refresh rate, but will be to 90. And 90 is the industry standard, so a lot of these are going to have 90.
Yep.
The Vive Cosmos has a screen refresh rate of 90. HP Reverb has a screen refresh rate of 90 as well. So far, nothing has gotten anywhere close to the 144 of the Valve Index.
Which I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, I'm surprised nobody is trying to say, okay, we're at 120. You know, like we're almost the Valve Index, but we're not. I'm really surprised that no one's done that.
Yeah, no one's even broken 100. That's a little bit weird by this point. I'm sure we'll get there when the next generation of headsets really hits in, but Oculus Rift S only at 80 from this source that I'm using, so that's the lowest one so far. And then let's see, last one is the Samsung Odyssey. Screen refresh rate is 90. So this one is going to Valve Index by a landslide.
Yep.
1 point. So here we go, and our chart's just going to automatically fill out as we go. So right now, Valve Index is in the lead with 1 point.
Yep.
So that's cool. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our next criteria, which is resolution. Okay, resolution for the Oculus Quest 2, I believe is the highest, but we'll do a quick comparison like we just did. The Oculus Quest 2 has a resolution, I just lost it. Okay, pixels per eye, here we go. 1832 by 1920, which is insane.
Yep.
Absolutely redonkulous. The Valve Index, just for comparison, the headset that just got that last point, is only 1440 by 1600. So that's a huge difference.
Yeah. The Oculus Quest 2 is really impressing me with its screen resolution. I think it's because they're going for not only gaming experiences where they might have to have lower quality like textures and things like that or simpler objects, but I really think that they're going for different business applications, and you need a high resolution screen for that. So like if I'm doing virtual desktop in my headset, I need high resolution so I can read texts, like read paragraphs of text.
For sure. Yeah. So right now, Oculus Quest 2 is getting the point.
Yep.
As compared to the other ones, the HTC Vive Cosmos is below the Quest, but above the Index, which I find interesting because it got so much backlash. It's at 1440 by 1700. Oh. Interesting. The HP Reverb. This is going to throw you off. 2160 by 2160.
Oh. So it's better.
There you go. Yeah.
There
it's
it
better
is.
by quite a bit. So that's going, I mean, we can just look at the Rift S really quick. I know it's not going to be better. 1280 by 1440. Samsung Odyssey is 1440 by 1600. So it's comparable to the Valve Index. But wow, that actually threw me off. I was not expecting that.
I kind of forgot that headset exists. It's kind of out there and like it's not in with the headsets that have kind of been around for a while. So that one's a little bit of a newcomer, kind of a
maybe underrated.
It's a little bit of a underdog because it just hasn't been around for very long.
Interesting. Okay, so we got the point over there to HP Reverb. So we got a tie, Index and Reverb.
Oh, on resolution.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, a tie.
League. Yeah,
1-1. Yeah, 1-1 so far. What's our next criteria?
Weight.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. So the Oculus Quest 2 appears to be at the lowest with 503 grams.
That's insane.
The Valve Index is way heavier at 800 grams. The Cosmos is 645. The Reverb is 550, so that's the closest one, but not quite.
I will throw this out there too, though. The Oculus Quest 2 has a cloth strap, right? Like that's a definite downgrade in terms of like weight. So if you want the real strap, you can buy it, but it's heavier. So I'm guessing it's going to be somewhat similar to the HP Reverb. You said it's 50 grams more?
Yeah. So that's probably, if you put the strap
I
on.
vote we give that one a tie.
Give it a tie? Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like, actually, the Oculus Quest, or the Oculus Rift is around that too, around that area. So maybe we can do a three-way tie.
Maybe you three-way with half points?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. Because, the weight thing is important, but I wouldn't say it's the most important thing out there.
Yeah.
So
they don't deserve full points for that because it's like, are you really going to base your whole decision off of
weight?
How much it weighs?
I don't think so.
But it's something to keep in mind, I think. So.
Yep.
Okay, wait. So, we got some headsets in the running.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm excited.
Yeah. What do we have next?
Let's see. We have tracking.
Tracking. Okay. So you want to explain a little bit about why this is on criteria?
Okay. So this is going to be different for everybody, right? You need to talk about or see what your priorities are. So if you have a big, like a room dedicated to VR that you know you're only going to be playing VR in that room, tracking doesn't really matter for you. You can set up base stations. It's not that big of a deal. You can put them in your walls, whatever. But if you're like me, and I like to have my VR everywhere. I like it in my room. I like it in my family room so that I can take it downstairs and have my family playing.
Take it over to a friend's house.
Exactly. Then you're going to have some sort of other system for setting up those lighthouses. So pretty much the only headset that really uses lighthouses these days is the Valve Index. Everything else is inside-out tracking. Personally, I think it is a big hassle. I don't think it's worth it at all. So I think it's just so much work. I hate it. Ugh.
Yeah, this one's hard, and I'm not sure if we necessarily should give points for this one. We can just chat about it a little bit like we have been, because for us, that it gets really tedious to set up base stations like crazy. But for other people, like, it gives a little bit more quality to the experience.
Apparently. I've used both. I've used both extensively. And personally, I haven't noticed that. I haven't noticed a difference, really. I've actually noticed an improvement into the inside-out tracking. Like, when we had the Htc Vive for a long time, and that used base stations to track you. And every once in a while, it would be weird. The floor would start to shift up. And obviously, sometimes you just set them up wrong. They're tilted too high, and they're not pointing at the ground correctly. And that's my bad. But when you're setting it up a ton of times, that's going to happen every once in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So I find that the outside or the inside out tracking is actually better. It's just more consistent. It works. I think the controllers are a little bit more slow, like when you're swinging them and stuff, playing Beat Saber or whatever it may be. But I would say it's an improvement, actually, the inside out tracking, personally.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
Do we want to give a point to all the headsets that do have it, or half a point?
I say we go negative a point on the Valve Index.
Negative a point on the Valve Index because it hasn't grasped that modern
What do you think?
Camera technology. I think you're right, because, to be honest, if I were to make a hunch and say when the Valve wants to release the Valve Index 2, I bet you it's going to have inside-out tracking.
Right, or a combination of both, like the, I think it's the Vive Cosmos has that. So are we doing half a point or a full point negative?
It doesn't make it. Well, that would get a couple people on the board. Maybe we just do half points to everybody who has it.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
All
just
right.
because no one, like Cosmos and stuff, that'll get them at least some presence on the board. Got to reward them for doing something right there, I think.
And even the Vive Cosmos has an offer to do both. You think we should give it a full point?
I think so.
Yep. Okay.
I definitely think that's worth a full point.
All right. There it is.
Okay, what do we have next?
Controller.
Okay, so let's we can talk about this a couple ways. Just which one is the best controller? Is it battery powered? Is it rechargeable? Right. What do you think?
So I think it's very obvious which controller is the best controller out there, and that is the Valve Index controllers.
Yeah.
There's no other VR controller that offers what that controller does, and that is the full finger movement control. You can use your hands, and depending on your position on the controller, your hands in VR will correspond to that. There's no other controller that does that, and I think that that's really important. I will say, though, the Oculus Quest 2 is the only headset that will do hand tracking, so you don't even need a controller for that one. But it's not polished. It works sometimes. It works in the menus and like in certain apps.
But it's something they can build upon over the next year and a half.
Exactly. And that's all software based because they already have the cameras and everything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
In my opinion, and we'll see if you agree with this, I think we give a point to both. Because the Quest 2 is revolutionary with that, but, I mean, the Valve has the best controller, right?
Right.
So.
Right.
What do you think? Or half a point?
I think half a point to the Oculus Quest 2 because it's just not there yet.
Okay, not there yet, but the potential.
But
would be there.
it's there. It like the idea is there, but it's like just not practically applicable. It's not a practical use yet. It's almost there, right? And eventually it will be, but not yet.
Fair
so
enough.
half a point.
What do we have? Appearance. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sleekness of these headsets. The first thing that comes to my mind is the biggest difference, I think, is that the Oculus Quest 2 is white, and all the other ones have a darker color, typically black. I like that. I like white. I am worried about white because it gets gross.
Yep.
Especially when you have this thing on your head every day for a fair amount of time. I just feel like that could get dirty.
And it's almost worse that it's a matte. Like it's a matte white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it was like a polished, shiny
Glossy.
white, that would... I mean, it would have fingerprints, but it'd be easier to clean.
Yeah.
But the matte is like... You're going to have to take a magic eraser to that thing to get scuffs off.
That sucks.
And that's a pain. But I also love the white.
Yeah, it looks nice. So it's
Yeah.
hard to say. But, I mean, in your opinion, which of these headsets do you think, like, looks the best? If you were going to put a nice-looking model, like a big buff dude or like a nice-looking woman or something.
See, I think... This is hard for me, right? So people have different priorities when it comes to look. You know, I look at the Rift S and the Valve Index and all those, and they're really kind of technologically complicated. There's a lot going on. And the look thing for me is it needs to be approachable. I want as many people playing VR as I can get. And if it's not approachable, then they're not going to. You know, we've put a lot of people into VR. A lot.
Yeah.
Hundreds
Probably.
of people in
Yeah.
VR. And some people are really intimidated by this weird, like, alien-looking, especially the HTC Vive, which is what we used for a long time. Yeah. It's kind of this alien-looking piece of hardware, and it's really cool in my mind, but, you know, for a lot of people, it's just kind of weird and intimidating.
Yeah.
I think the Oculus Quest 2 is the simplest, smallest, most low-profile design.
Yeah.
The controllers are approachable. The white makes it not so, like, techy and futurist. It's kind of like this, like, just simple, elegant design that I really like. So for me, I would give it to the Quest 2. What do you think?
I think you're right. One thing that I like about the appearance and look of the Quest 2 is that, I mean, go look at some videos. It is so much smaller than all these other headsets. And we talked about weight. But, I mean, just look-wise, it doesn't look like this huge block on your head. It's way smaller, sleeker. I do really like the look of the Index. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
But this one's tough because it's more opinion-based than, like, factual-based.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we do have a lot of credibility when it comes to this area, and we have talked, the reason being because we've talked with hundreds of people and helped them play VR. And I think that this would help more people get into it. Is that simpler look? So I'd give it to the Quest 2.
Yeah, I'd give it to the Quest 2 as well.
Okay.
So just for reference, the reason why we have put so many people in VR is because we ran a business where we would take VR to their homes and do parties and stuff like that. We actually made a video about how to make money with VR, and that's what we did. So I'll post a card here, and you can go watch that video, and we explain what we did. But we're going to give it to the Quest 2.
Okay, the next one is mobility, which is, like, obviously this is going to be a point that goes to the Quest 2 because this is pretty revolutionary.
Yep.
Just for some context here, the Quest 2, it can be a standalone headset, or what I mean by that is it doesn't have to be hooked up to a PC, or you can get a link cable and hook it up to the PC. That's really cool because you can get the power from the PC when you want it, or you can go take it to your friend's house super quick and easy in just a simple little case. No problem. None of these other headsets have that capability yet. We might see that towards the end of 2021, but towards the beginning, this is the only headset going in that has that capability. So that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing, right? It's like what you're getting with an Oculus Quest 2, if you buy a link cable, is you have a full-blown PC headset with a higher resolution and refresh rate than its predecessor. The Rift S. We'll consider the Rift S its predecessor for this purpose. And then, if you want to take it on the go, you can really easily, and it's no problem, right? Like you can just throw it in your backpack and go play Beat Saber at your friend's house or whatever it may be. And it's cross-platform with like Rec Room, so you could there's so much capability here. Or watching Netflix in your bed.
Yeah, that's the best.
Right? And that's only on the Quest store. I don't think it's on Steam or anything like that. So you can't I don't know if I'd want to have a cord like that in my bed, but like that's the only headset you can do that with, and so that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, all the other standalone headsets have basically died. You know,
Yeah.
like the Go had a great time, but it's dead. The Gear is gone. They stopped supporting it.
Yep.
All the mobile phone VR.
Yeah, Google Daydream is gone the way of all the earth.
This is the way that VR tech is going, and Oculus is on top of it.
Yeah,
so we have to give them a point for that.
There's no one else competing with them. It's their own market.
Not going into 2021.
Yeah.
No one going into 2021 is doing that. So that is huge. That deserves at least 1 point. You know?
And I know some people are mad. They're like, "Oh, Oculus is going to take away developers, and they're going to develop games for like just the Quest, and they're going to be like mobile games, and then they're going to port them to PC, and they'll be worse." But really, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really don't. I think people are going to make games for PC first, and they're going to see if they can add them to the Quest. And if they don't, they make them for the Quest. They'll be kind of like smaller and simpler games anyway, and they'll be specifically for that use case. I think people are going to develop professional solutions for this thing, right? Like, you know, like doctors and stuff might be able to use the Quest because it's just so simple and easy to use. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think it's going to be really amazing, and there's a lot going for the Quest 2 in that department.
Yeah. This is revolutionary. Like we've said in many videos, go check out all of our videos. Quest 2 versus Index, Quest 2 versus Rift S, Quest 2 versus Quest, Quest 2 versus all of them. We talk about this, we break it down. We're going to have to do today, I think, a Quest 2 versus Reverb.
Yep.
Because I didn't know that the resolution was so dang high.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that.
Yep.
Anyways, let's keep going. So let's do a quick summary of the graph, what we're looking at so far. So the Valve Index had a quick early lead, but now it's a little bit behind. The Quest 2 is ahead at about, what is that? I think 3.5 points. Yep. And then the Reverb and the Index are tied. Everything else has fallen behind.
Yep.
So, which we're not super surprised about with the Oculus Rift S, for example. We even made a video about how Oculus is dropping that in 2021. So it obviously is not going to be the best headset in 2021. It's more of a control, like a control group that we're using.
And I know a lot of people are still in love with the Rift S. We still have ours. I don't have any plans to sell it. Mm-hmm. It's an awesome headset. It works great.
It's great.
If you just want a PC headset, it's awesome. But
if we're going into 2021, it is not the best.
Nope.
Not the best in price. Not the best in quality. It's way behind. So we'll get into that later. But so let's talk about games. This is a category that you put on.
Yep.
So have some insight into
I don't think this deserves getting a full point, just because it's very specific. But there's some exclusives. I hate that it's this way now. I wish it wasn't. I wish that everybody played nice and just posted their games on Steam.
It's always been this way with PlayStation and Xbox and things.
And so it's just not anymore, right? So like, for example, Robo Recall. That's a huge game. A lot of people love that game. It's only on the Rift platform. You can't get it anywhere else.
The Oculus.
The Oculus platform. So there's a couple versions of it, right? There's the one inside of the computer-based one and the Quest. There's other games too. There's a pretty hefty list of games, but all of those, you can only get them through the Rift platform, and I think you can only use a Rift headset. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't.
Yeah, in the comments, let us know. Because there could be a way to get it, but as far as I know as well, if it's in the Oculus store and you have an HTC Vive or you have the Cosmos or the Odyssey, I think you're pretty much out of luck there.
Yeah, you just can't play those games, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But the Rift S or the Oculus headsets can play anything, right? They can play on Steam, they can play in the Rift.
Yep. That is huge.
Yeah.
Versatility is a huge thing that Oculus is doing.
Yep. They're kind of
standalone PC, Steam, Oculus store,
Yep. They're starting to lock us in. You have to have a Facebook account to play on the Quest, which I think is kind of sad, but it's not that big of a deal. What did we expect when Facebook bought Oculus, right?
Yeah, true.
So,
So half point to the Oculus headsets on the list?
Yep. So both the Quest 2 and the Rift S.
Okay. All right. And let's get down to our last category here. We're going to chat a little bit about the price of these headsets. So I guess we can just go from left to right and talk about them.
Yep. Valve Index is $1,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I do love the fact that they are willing to break up the cost. So if you already have lighthouses from your HTC Vive or whatever, you can just buy a Valve Index and you're good to go. You can just buy the controllers separately and add them to your HTC Vive or whatever and use that instead. And I think that that's amazing. Like having that capability to just buy it piecemeal, I think is really, really impressive of them. And I'm happy that they did that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's, if we're going from left to right, talk about the Oculus Quest 2. And this is awesome to me because it's incredibly revolutionary. We've talked about this in our other videos. The Oculus Quest 2 has gone up in quality by far and down in price. So it's starting at $300 just for the base model. That's insane. That's a huge difference from. And what's interesting to me is, look, it's already destroying everything else in the list, and it's a third of the price. Of the most expensive one.
That's absurd.
Yeah, it's insane. But you'll probably want the link cable if you have a PC. You'll probably want the better headset strap.
Yep.
So call it $430 for everything, all the fixins.
Yep.
That's still much cheaper than everything else.
So basically, you have a glorified Oculus Rift S for $430. So that's $30 more than the normal Oculus Rift S. But then you have the mobile aspect of it, right? So you're paying $30 to have a fully standalone headset. That's amazing. That's awesome. Like it blows me away. Like that amount of value for just like basically $30 more, you get a standalone headset. That's just amazing.
Exactly. So, okay, cool. I just got the price of another one.
Is that the Odyssey headset?
This is the Odyssey, yeah. So,
or is that the screen?
Let's see. I got to type in VR. You want to go ahead and talk about the Rift S?
Yeah, sure. So the Rift S is $400. $400 that was cheap when it came out, right? Like the $400 price tag. So they're canceling the Rift S, so that's sad. But you can also buy a used one. They're super durable. They last a long time.
Definitely.
We've beat ours up pretty well. We've seen. I have seen the Oculus Rift S in multiple occasions. My buddy has one, and then we did one. Someone bought one from us. We set up like a computer for him. They absolutely treat that thing like terribly, and it still works fine. Mm-hmm. We had to replace the cable, but that's pretty standard if you don't treat your headset right. And then my friend who has one actually broke his controller on a wall. The top ring is just cracked in half. Still works. Yeah. So you can buy a used one and not really worry about it. They're pretty cheap. You can get one for like $250 used, which is, I mean, it's used and
and it's old.
Yeah,
so it's a year and a half. So, I mean, that's nice, but value per dollar isn't quite there.
Yeah,
but that is an option if that's kind of the route you're looking to go.
If you're like, I don't want a Facebook account, and I just want a PC headset. Oculus Rift S may be your choice.
Yep. Going to the HP Reverb. Let's see, that's at about $600. So double the price of the Oculus Quest 2.
Right.
So yeah, there's not too much to say about it.
I think for all intents and purposes, we can just say the Quest 2 is $430 when comparing to these, because these are all going to have
all that stuff,
a better strap.
Okay, so still $430 compared to $600 is a pretty big gap.
Yeah.
But from what I'm seeing here, and what I've already heard and seen about the HP Reverb, I think it's worth it. So if you like what we've said about it so far, if you want to watch more of our videos, we'll chat about it in future ones. It might be a good purchase for you.
Yeah, it might be a good avenue. It's kind of if I were to buy a PC-based headset going into 2021, that's just that I didn't want the mobile aspects of the Oculus Quest 2 at all. And I didn't care for, I was like worried about the Facebook login stuff. I think I'd go with an HP Reverb.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yep.
But for all our purposes here, for this best headset going into 2021, value to price category right here, it's not going to get the point.
Yep.
What's next?
Samsung Odyssey.
Samsung Odyssey. I just pulled up a quick search here. It looks like on eBay you could get a used one for $475, but typically for new it's about $650-ish is what I'm seeing. So $650 for new, because that's what we're kind of comparing with. Kind of the same thing. Might be worth it if you're looking to go that route. For our purposes here today, it's not going to get the point.
Yep. My buddy loves his Samsung Odyssey. He got it used for way cheap. He found it on like the Facebook Marketplace for almost nothing. So he got a really cheap headset. He loves it. So if you can find a good deal on it, then it's worth it. But brand new, definitely not. Used, maybe, if you can find it cheap.
Any of these headsets, if you can find them on Marketplace, cheap, used, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, they're all great headsets. Every single one of these.
That's why they're on the list right now. We wouldn't be talking about crappy headsets going into 2021 to evaluating the best. Like, we're talking about the best on the market.
I was just talking to a friend of mine. He was saying, like, it seems like every random, like, there's so many startups that are just making headsets. And they're like, here's our headset. We love it. It's like, well, yeah, there's no support for it. People aren't buying it. Maybe it has a higher resolution than everything we've talked about today, but none of that matters if it doesn't have the good support and the like a community based around it.
Yeah.
And so all of these headsets have a pretty decent support structure. I would say the one that I haven't even really heard of anyone buying is the Vive Cosmos. That's just because it kind of fit into a weird market that didn't make sense, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Speaking of the price of the Vive Cosmos, it's at $700. I think if you get the upgraded version, it's $900.
Yep.
It's just very expensive.
Yep.
I wouldn't buy that one.
Yeah.
Once you got it for a deal.
Once you hit that point in the price gouging or price area, it's like, okay, do I want to get the second best headset for $900 or the best headset in terms of like refresh rate for $1,000, right? And so and controllers. So generally, people that would have bought the Vive Cosmos bought the Valve Index, and you know, I've talked about this in my marketing class. It's just like they're in the wrong demographic, right?
Yeah.
People in that demographic are looking for the best refresh rate so that they can have twitch reactions, the best controllers so that they can have the most interaction with their game space as possible. And so they're going to go for the Valve Index, not the Vive Cosmos, which is kind of, it's got interesting, like a gimmicky tracking, so it does inside out and base stations. So that's, I don't know, it's kind of a weird spot.
Yeah, it's just not going to get the point.
Yep.
When it comes down to it. So
Yep.
I think we give it to the Oculus Quest.
Yep.
Like, again, it's extremely low price for all the quality you're getting. This point couldn't go to anyone else.
Yep, for sure.
So what do you see in this table? Tell us about it. Tell us about this graph.
This is really interesting. I thought it was going to be a little closer than this, but now that I think about it, the way that we did this, it was of course going to go to the Quest 2. We haven't touched the Quest 2, so I would say like it's not in my hands physically, and so I can't guarantee any of these, but it's got 5 points. That's 3 points ahead of the next closest, which is the Valve Index. And even then, it's just like for the controller and refresh rate, and like once you get to 90, things start to get smaller and smaller, like the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute dunk here. Like this is...
Yeah, it really is. A lot of people in the comments might be like, no, seriously, man, the Valve Index is the best headset going into 2021. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. Maybe it is the best going in, but what criteria are you looking at? Are you looking at all the criteria? Are you looking at more than us, less? Because I feel like you might just be looking at, guy in the comments that we're referring to that is probably going to come out and talk to us. I think you might just be talking about one or two criteria. That's why we wanted to be unbiased and put in as many criteria as possible that actually matter.
Yep.
And when you put it all together, put it in a graph, this is what it came out to be. And, you know, I think any of these headsets, depending on your situation, could be good for you. But if you're looking to get the best headset going into 2021, for the value and the criteria per dollar that it comes out to be, it's the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah, and I recognize this is a very unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a lot of people have this opinion, but for us, like VR professionals, some people are probably going to say, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I can't believe you think the Quest 2 is the best. But just look at the specs, look at the price, look at how it looks, right?
The versatility is huge. Standalone mobile, both different platforms of games.
For somebody that we had Oculus Go's, we haven't had an HTC Vive. You just don't recognize the value until you have it.
Yeah.
The value of having a mobile VR headset. The Oculus Go wasn't good. Like, it didn't have a lot of like amazing parts to it. It didn't have all these like amazing like odds and ends that you can do. The controller was a dinky little like pointer. It was a glorified pointer. That's all it was.
Yeah.
But I still used it often. I used it just as much, if not more, than my PC VR headset because I was watching Netflix in it.
Right. exactly.
And that is what matters, in my opinion.
Yep.
I hate to say it, but like the lazy couch potato me loved having that mobile VR experience.
Yep. So again, when you put all the criteria together, and we're not just some Joe Schmoes that just put a table together. Like, we really understand VR really well. We've done a lot of research into it. We've owned many. We know many people who own it that own the headsets that we don't have. So we have a lot of experience and contact with it. And honestly, the Oculus Quest 2 is a headset that I've never even seen comparably. Like it just is so much better than everything else in pretty much every category besides a couple. So
it's blowing my mind.
So yeah, that's pretty much our review of the best headset going into 2021. We say it's the Oculus Quest 2. If you're looking for like, if your criteria is mainly just off of resolution and refresh rate, then it's the Valve Index. But that's not what it's all about anymore.
Not at all.
That's not what it's all about anymore. So yeah, any closing thoughts?
No, I know that a lot of you are gonna watch this video and then say, you know what, I'm gonna go with what I want, and that's what you should do anyway.
Yeah.
If you feel like you want to get a Valve Index because the controllers are just, that's what makes it for you, do it. You know, like
each of these criteria are specific to you.
Yeah, you can put more value in each one. If the controller and refresh rate are your two biggest things, and honestly, I get it. If that's what matters to you, then absolutely. And I think that maybe we didn't do the Valve Index justice. You know, those controllers are amazing, and the refresh rate is really important. So maybe we could have thrown 2 extra points to that. But then it's still, the Oculus Quest 2 has 5 versus 4.
Yeah.
So
that's just how it is.
Yep.
So anyways, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you on the channel more often. Lots of cool videos coming out. We've got a ton